She looked at you like a king once. Now she barely replies. What changed? You feel it, don't you? The way her energy shifted. She used to lean in, laugh harder, ask questions. Now it's delayed texts, short replies, subtle distance. And the worst part, you're starting to wonder if it's your age. You start thinking, maybe I need to impress her more. Maybe I need to show her I've still got it. So you over-explain. You offer to pay more. You post that story she might see. You don't say it out loud, but deep down, you're chasing her gaze again. But what if the answer isn't to try harder? What if the one thing that makes her pull away is watching you doubt your own gravity? Here's what most men don't know. Younger women aren't drawn to older men because of money. They're drawn to presence, depth, calm power. They want a man who's already arrived, not one who needs her attention to feel whole. In this video, I'll show you the 10 specific traits that younger women instinctively chase in older men, and not one of them has to do with your bank account. These are psychological qualities you can activate today, right now, the kind of energy that doesn't need to perform because it already owns the room. And once you tap into that, she won't just notice you again, she'll lean in and stay. Let's get into it. Number 1. Certainty is magnetic. Let me tell you something that most men never realize until it's too late. Uncertainty kills attraction faster than bad breath. You could be the most accomplished, good-looking guy in the room, but if you're unsure of yourself, she'll feel it. And she'll pull away. Take Mark, for example. He's 46, recently divorced, solid career, keeps in shape. He started dating again. Met a 9-year-old woman named Tessa on a dating app. They clicked right away, texting daily, laughing on calls, great energy. But when it came time to actually meet up, Mark got hesitant. He kept asking her where she wanted to go, if she was comfortable, if she liked certain places. He was so worried about choosing wrong, he let her lead the entire plan. And guess what? She lost interest before the first date even happened. Now, most men like Mark think they're being polite or respectful. But what she feels is this: he's not sure of himself. And if you're not sure of you, why the hell should she be? Younger women are incredibly sensitive to energy. They don't just listen to your words, they absorb your vibe. And the moment she picks up on your doubt, your hesitance, your second guessing, it's over. You go from intriguing older man to confused old dude real fast. Here's where Stoicism comes in. At its core, Stoicism teaches us that the only thing we truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, our judgments, our choices. That internal calm, that inner clarity, that's what radiates outward as certainty. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Read that again, because it applies to dating too. She's not reacting to your age, your job, or your shoes. She's reacting to your energy, your belief in yourself, your certainty. Let's get this straight. Certainty doesn't mean arrogance. It's not about bragging, dominating, or pretending. It's about knowing. Knowing where you want to go, knowing what you like, knowing who you are, and not apologizing for any of it. Women find that magnetic, especially younger women who are still figuring themselves out. She doesn't want you to be perfect, she wants you to be sure. If she says, "Where do you want to go for dinner?" and you reply, "Wherever you want," she doesn't feel respected, she feels burdened. You've just tossed the masculine role into her lap, and now she has to lead. Let her feel like a woman. You do that by being a man with direction. Pick the place, make the plan, hold the frame. Back to Mark. If he had simply said, "Tessa, I made us a reservation at this cozy Italian spot downtown. You'll love it," the entire vibe would have shifted. She'd lean in, curious, intrigued. Because a man with certainty makes her feel safe, even if she doesn't realize why. Now let me ask you, are you leading with clarity or hiding behind politeness? Are you radiating masculine certainty or seeking approval? If you've been in Mark's shoes or you're in them now, drop a comment below and tell me. Say it like you mean it. I lead with calm, and we're just getting started. What's even more powerful than certainty is what you do when she tries to shake it. Keep watching. Number 2. Emotional control is everything. You want to know what instantly separates an older man from a younger guy in a younger woman's eyes? It's not money. It's not even looks. It's how you handle pressure. A younger guy might have the energy, the quick jokes, the confidence on a good day. But when she tests him, when she pulls back, when she flirts with another guy in front of him just to see what he'll do, that's when his whole act starts to crumble. Now contrast that with a man who's lived through enough storms to know that reacting emotionally never puts you in control. A man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't beg. That man, magnetic. Emotional control doesn't mean you shut down. It means you don't give her or anyone else the remote control to your mind. It means your value doesn't rise or fall based on who texts back or who compliments your new haircut. This is where Stoicism becomes your secret weapon. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that. She pulls away. You could panic, over-text, question everything, or you could pause, you could observe, you could lean back, not forward. When you stay emotionally grounded, you show her something rare. You show her a man who's centered, who isn't moved by temporary waves. And that steadiness, it's sexy. Not loud, not needy, just solid. A younger woman, especially one who's used to emotional drama, will instinctively test for this. Not because she's evil, but because she's wired to crave stability. If she's going to trust you, she needs to feel you can weather her storms without falling apart. If you react every time she shifts, she sees a man who can't hold frame. If you keep trying to fix it every time she's quiet, she sees a man who fears her distance more than he trusts his presence. But when you stay calm, curious, and centered, she leans in. She wonders what you're anchored to. She feels the difference between the boys she's known and the man who's in front of her now. This doesn't mean being cold or passive. It means being still. Still in your values, still in your energy, still in your self-trust. So next time she tests you, shows up late, texts back slow, flirts a little too freely, don't take the bait, don't spiral, don't perform. Observe, respond, lead, because emotional control isn't just attractive, it's leadership, and that's what she's looking for, even when she doesn't know how to say it. So let me ask you something. Have you ever sabotaged a great connection because your emotions got ahead of you? Because you reacted before you paused? Be real with yourself. And if the answer is yes, drop it in the comments and take your power back. Say it with clarity. I stay composed. Lee. Now here's the twist. Even if you have emotional control, none of it matters if you don't understand the next piece. And it's something most men overlook completely. Stay with me. It only gets better from here. Number 3. Quiet power over loud moves. You've seen the type. Loud laugh, flashy watch. Tells stories like he's the hero of every room he walks into. But here's the twist. The louder the man, the weaker the core. The guys who always need to be heard. They're usually the ones not truly seen. That's why real presence comes from silence, not noise. Let me give you a real-world contrast. Meet Mark. He's 51, owns a landscaping company in Phoenix. No designer logos, no social media flexing. At a mutual friend's outdoor BBQ, he meets Rachel, a 3-4-year-old realtor who's been in her fair share of flashy but empty relationships. While most guys were pushing hard for attention, Mark simply observed. He smiled when it made sense, spoke when he had something to say, and when he looked at her, it wasn't a performance. It was calm, focused, direct. Afterward, Rachel said something interesting. He didn't try to charm me. and that made him magnetic. This is the essence of quiet power. Quiet power isn't about being passive or aloof. It's about ownership of space without needing to dominate it. It's about giving your energy in doses, not dumping it everywhere in desperation. When you can sit comfortably in your own presence, others feel it. Especially women who are tired of theatrics. Younger women, in particular, are drawn to contrast. They're surrounded by noise, digital noise, social noise, dating noise. But when they meet a man who doesn't add to the chaos, who instead grounds the moment they remember him, the Stoics lived this deeply. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Quiet power starts here. Not just in what you say, but in your ability to withhold, to watch, to measure your words, to let the silence work in your favor. Marcus Aurelius also said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In a world of loud posturing, quiet strength becomes the rebellion. It's the signal that you don't need their script, you've written your own. And here's the deeper layer. Quiet power makes her wonder. Wonder builds intrigue. Intrigue builds attraction. Because when she doesn't know everything, she feels more. She leans in. Not because you demanded attention, but because you held it without even trying. But make no mistake, quiet power isn't about silence for silence's sake. It only works when it's backed by substance. A man who says little but lives deep, who moves with intention, not impulse, who values his own time, attention, and words. That's what Mark had. And it's what many men lose when they try to impress instead of express. So if you've been filling the space with too much sound, step back. Let your stillness do the talking. Let your energy enter the room before your voice does. And ask yourself, are you talking to be heard or standing to be felt? If you're ready to embody something deeper, comment, "I carry quiet power." Now, this kind of presence creates curiosity, but it's what you do next that makes her stay or slip away. And the next trait is where most men go wrong without even realizing it. Let's keep going. Number 4, integrity makes you unforgettable. There's a reason some men leave a mark long after they're gone. It's not their looks, it's not their money, and it sure as hell isn't their charm. It's integrity. Integrity is that rare quality that silently tells the world, you can trust me even when no one's watching. And for a younger woman who's dated men who shift with the wind, who say one thing and do another, meeting a man who actually means what he says, that's magnetic. Most guys confuse image with integrity. They think looking like a good guy is enough. But integrity doesn't care about appearances. It shows up in the details. It's in how you handle disappointment. It's in whether you keep your word when it's inconvenient. It's in whether your values still stand when nobody's rewarding you for them. You don't need to announce your values when you live them. And that's the difference. Women pick up on that fast. If you tell her, "I'm not like other guys," but then ghost her after she opens up, your actions just proved you are like them. If you promise, "I'll call you tomorrow," and you don't, because something else came up, you just made yourself forgettable. Because forgettable men are inconsistent men. Integrity makes you unforgettable because it builds emotional safety. It tells her, even when things get messy, I don't change who I am. That's rare, and rare is valuable. Now here's where Stoicism ties in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Stoics didn't believe in moral flexibility. They believed in personal responsibility. Your character wasn't what you claimed, it was what you demonstrated every single day. And that's exactly what women notice, even if they can't articulate it. Let's say you're seeing someone, and you tell her you're not dating anyone else. A week later, she sees a suggestive comment from another woman on your post. Now here's the deal, maybe you didn't flirt. Maybe she misunderstood. But if you ignore the moment, avoid the conversation, or shift blame, you've just told her who you are. a man who dodges integrity when it's uncomfortable. But if you address it calmly, clarify with honesty, and uphold your word regardless of how awkward it feels, that moment becomes a turning point, not just in how she sees you, but in how she trusts you. Here's what most men don't realize. It's not perfection that makes you unforgettable. It's consistency. Consistency in truth, in presence, in showing up the same way whether things are easy or not. And this is where emotional maturity meets attraction. A younger woman, even one who's highly independent, still craves a man whose word holds weight. She wants to feel like if he says something, she can bank on it. That's not boring, that's power. Because in a world where most men chase approval, a man with unshakable values becomes her anchor. He doesn't adjust his behavior to win favor. He simply is. That kind of man doesn't just attract women. He earns their admiration. So the next time you're tempted to smooth things over with a lie, or make a promise just to keep her happy in the moment, pause. Ask yourself, am I building trust or breaking it? If you know you're the kind of man who chooses character over convenience, then comment below, I live with integrity. And if this part hit a nerve, good. That means you're paying attention to the things most men ignore. Stay sharp, what's coming next separates the rare from the forgettable. Number 5, own your desire. There's a strange myth floating around out there that women, especially younger women, don't want a man who shows desire. That if you admit you want her, you'll lose your power. That you should stay distant, detached, vague. But here's the truth. It's not desire that turns her off. It's neediness disguised as desire. Real desire, when owned without apology, is one of the most attractive forces on earth. But most men never learn how to hold it like a man. They either suppress it out of fear or leak it out through insecurity. Let me show you the difference. Kevin is 47, divorced for 2 years. He's been casually dating but hasn't found anything real. Then he meets Haley, 30, at a networking event in San Diego. She's sharp, confident, and playful. He's instantly drawn to her, not just her looks, but her energy. But instead of saying something direct, he plays it cool, too cool. He jokes, but never flirts. He texts, but never initiates anything bold. Why? Because he's afraid showing interest will give her the upper hand. So Haley moves on. She doesn't hate him, she just didn't feel him. What would have happened if Kevin had owned his desire? If he had calmly said, I like how you carry yourself. I'd love to take you out sometime. No begging, no pressure, just presence with intention. That's what women crave but rarely get. Most men either pretend not to care or they overcompensate and come off desperate. But the man who knows what he wants expresses it with calm clarity and lets go of the outcome. That man is unforgettable. Seneca once said, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. When you hide your desire, you become directionless. You drift. But when you own your attraction with boundaries and confidence, you set the tone. She may accept or decline, but she will respect the clarity. Owning your desire doesn't mean crossing lines. It means you don't shrink yourself to seem less invested. You don't make her guess what you want. You don't hide behind jokes and passive comments. You bring your masculine energy with openness, not with expectation. A younger woman can feel the difference between a man who's trying to get something from her and a man who's already whole but wants to share something with her. The former pressures, the latter attracts. So if you're holding back because you think it's cool to be unavailable, stop. That's not cool. That's cowardly. Real strength is being open about what you want without losing yourself when you don't get it. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean flooding her with attention. It means being able to look her in the eye and say, I see you, I want you, but I don't need to chase you to feel like a man. That's a rare vibe. And younger women who've seen enough performance and pretending are starving for it. Kevin learned that the hard way. A few months after losing touch with Haley, he reached out again. But this time, he showed up different, clearer, more grounded. He didn't try to win her back. He simply said what he didn't say before. I was into you, and I didn't say it. That's on me. Did she give him another chance? Yes, but only because this time she felt him. So if you've been holding your desire hostage because you're afraid of being rejected, free it. When you own your desire, you show her you're not afraid to want, and that's powerful. If you're done hiding what you feel, comment, I own my desire. And if this one hit home, stay with me, because the next shift is about the one thing that magnifies everything we've talked about so far. You won't want to miss it. Number 6. Presence over performance. You walk into a date and immediately start thinking about what to say next, how to seem more impressive, or how to avoid awkward silences. That's performance, and it's killing your presence. Most men don't realize this. The more you try to perform, the more you disconnect from the moment. And women, especially younger women, can feel that disconnect instantly. They won't always call it out, but they'll feel something is off. They'll say, it just didn't feel real. That's what happens when your mind is in the future instead of the now. Presence is the opposite of performance. It's not about saying the perfect line. It's about actually being there, not in your head, not in your ego, right there, in the moment, with her. Why does this matter? Because most women aren't craving a guy who performs. They've already dated that guy, the one who tries too hard to be funny, charming, or edgy. What they crave is someone who makes them feel safe to be real. That only happens when you are real. Presence means listening not to respond, but to understand. It means your eyes aren't darting around the room scanning for your next move. You're looking at her, not through her. You're grounded, still, and that stillness speaks louder than any polished pickup line ever could. The Stoics knew the value of being fully rooted in the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He didn't mean to ignore your responsibilities or future. He meant that your power, your strength as a man, is found in your ability to stay connected to what's actually happening now. When you're present, you slow everything down. You breathe differently. You respond instead of reacting. You're not grasping for attention or approval. You're offering your full energy, and that, in itself, becomes attractive. Here's the trap, though. Most men confuse presence with being quiet. They think, if I just sit there and say little, that's presence. But presence is not passivity. It's attentive engagement. It's the confidence to sit in silence without fidgeting. It's the awareness to notice the tension in her body and ask, "You seem a little distracted, everything okay?" Not to fix her, but to show her you're here. Stoicism teaches that emotions aren't enemies, they're signals. But when you're caught in performance mode, you miss the signals. You're so focused on appearing a certain way, you fail to connect. And that lack of connection is what kills the vibe. A woman might not remember every word you said on the date, but she will remember how present you were, how safe she felt, how seen she felt. Those things live in her body long after you've left the room. This is why presence beats performance every time. In a world of endless scrolling, shallow dating apps, and people pretending to be something they're not, presence is revolutionary. It cuts through the noise. It says, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to experience this moment with you. That kind of energy, it doesn't fade. It lingers. So if you find yourself rehearsing lines in your head, trying to sound cool, or worrying about what she thinks of you, pause. Take a breath. Come back to the moment. Because when you're really there, she doesn't have to guess who you are. She feels it. And that feeling, that's what makes her want to see you again. That's what makes her trust you. That's what makes you stand out, not the things you say, but the energy you bring when you say nothing at all. So if you're done performing and ready to show up, comment below. I choose presence. This one shift might sound subtle, but it changes everything from how she sees you to how you feel about yourself. And what we're about to get into next builds on this in a way that most men never even consider. Stick with me. Number 7. Stop performing. Start choosing. Let's flip the script for a second. Most men spend their time in relationships or in dating trying to be chosen. They dress the part, say the right things, and walk on eggshells just to keep her interested. But here's what they miss. The man who's trying to be chosen is already giving up his power. What younger women crave, especially when they date older men, is not someone who tries to win them over. It's a man who chooses them from a place of clarity and self-respect. Let me give you a real-world example. Jason is 51. He owns a small architecture firm in Seattle, is divorced with one grown son, and he recently started dating again. He meets Amanda, 29, on a flight to Chicago. She's witty, well-traveled, and a bit flirtatious. They talk for 2 hours, exchange numbers, and he thinks, this is promising. Now here's where things go sideways. Jason starts texting her daily. He avoids bringing up anything too serious. He compliments her constantly. And even when she starts responding with one-word answers or cancels a date last minute, he just laughs it off and keeps trying. Why? Because he wants to be chosen, he's performing, and he doesn't even know it. Now let's rewind and change one thing. What if Jason noticed the pullback, and instead of chasing harder, he slowed down? What if he asked himself, is she showing up in a way I respect? What if, instead of trying to impress her, he focused on whether he actually wants her? That's the shift. From performing to choosing. You see, performing says, please validate me. Choosing says, I know who I am, and I'll decide who gets access to me. One is desperate, the other is deliberate. This is where Stoicism becomes your edge. Epictetus wrote, no man is free who is not master of himself. The man who constantly seeks to be picked is not his own master. He's at the mercy of others' approval. But when you operate from internal standards, when you know what you value in a woman, how you want to be treated, and where your line is, you stop performing. You start choosing. And this shift is magnetic, because it says to her, you're not a prize I'm chasing. You're a person I'm curious about, but only if you meet me with the same energy. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. And clarity is hot. Here's the irony. When you stop trying to be picked, more women are drawn to you. Why? Because now you're different. You're grounded. You're not flinching when she pulls back. You're not sending 10 texts to prove your worth. You're observing, deciding, moving from a place of authority, not anxiety. You're not cold. You're clear. And younger women who are tired of dealing with boys pretending to be men, they feel that difference deeply. So here's the question. Are you performing in your dating life, or are you choosing with intention? Are you over-complimenting, over-texting, over-apologizing, hoping to get picked? Or are you calmly observing who matches your energy and letting go of the ones who don't? Jason eventually learned that lesson, not by reading a book, but by getting hurt. After Amanda ghosted him, he realized he'd been playing the same game he thought he'd outgrown. So the next time he met someone new, he didn't rush. He didn't try to be funny or cool. He showed up fully as himself and asked, does this person deserve my attention? And that changed everything. So if you're done performing and ready to choose, drop it in the comments. I choose with clarity. What comes next builds directly on this mindset. It's where grounded masculinity meets irresistible connection. Stay with me. Number 8. Mystery beats money. Let's cut to the truth most guys don't want to hear. Money isn't enough. Sure, it can buy access, it can open doors, it can even impress for a moment. But when it comes to sustained attraction, especially from younger women drawn to older men, money is not the real magnet. It's mystery. Mystery doesn't mean playing games or being vague. It's about depth. It's about having layers. It's the sense that there's more to you than what she sees right now, and that she can't quite figure it out in one conversation or one date. And that's far more powerful than flashing a luxury watch or picking her up in a Mercedes. See, money is predictable. It shows up the same way every time. But mystery, that lingers. That keeps her thinking about you after the date ends. That makes her curious. It makes her invest in getting to know you. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts revolve around buying her attention, you'll project that energy, and she'll feel it. But if your mind is calm, grounded, and focused on your own internal world, your values, your discipline, your curiosity, she'll feel that instead. And that's the kind of mystery that money can't replicate. Most men go all in on external displays. They think, if I show her my success, she'll want me. But what actually works is subtle contrast. You walk into the room dressed sharp, yes, but then you speak with stillness. You make her laugh, but you don't overshare. You show interest, but you don't try to impress. That's mystery. It's not about withholding. It's about revealing just enough. The man who holds mystery doesn't rush to fill every silence. He's okay letting her ask the next question. He's not broadcasting every detail of his life on the first date. Not because he's hiding anything, but because he values pacing. That creates tension. That builds attraction. Money says, here's what I have. Mystery says, there's more to me than you can see right now. And guess which one makes her lean in? Let's be clear, this isn't about being aloof or distant. It's about depth. It's about being a man who's lived, who's thought deeply about life, who has interests and opinions and stories that unfold naturally over time, not all at once. The Stoics didn't brag. They didn't overshare. They led with action, not exhibition. Epictetus said, "Be silent for the most part," or, "If you speak, say only what is necessary and in few words." Not because he lacked things to say, but because he knew the value of presence over performance. That's the kind of energy that draws a woman in, not your bank account. In fact, when you rely too much on money to impress, it often has the opposite effect. It creates a power imbalance. She starts to question your motives. Are you buying her time? Are you compensating for insecurity? And even if she sticks around, the foundation isn't solid. But when your presence alone sparks curiosity, when your words land with weight, your gaze holds confidence, and your silence doesn't feel empty but full, you become the mystery she wants to solve. So stop thinking you need to show off to win her over. You don't. You need to show up with depth, intention, and the quiet confidence that says, you'll discover me over time. That's what younger women actually crave. Not another rich guy performing, but a man who's got something deeper going on. If that's the energy you want to embody, drop a comment. I lead with mystery. We're getting into the most overlooked shift next, something that separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. Stick with me. Number 9. Be the gravity, not the storm. Let's talk about energy, because the energy you bring into a room tells her everything she needs to know. Most men think intensity is attractive, and it can be for a second. But if all you bring is chaos, unpredictability, and emotional highs and lows, you become exhausting. She might be intrigued at first, but it won't last. What does last? Gravity. Gravity is calm, steady, grounded. It doesn't chase, it doesn't react. It pulls naturally. And the more grounded you are, the more others, especially women, are drawn in. Not because you're loud, but because you're unshakable. Let me give you a real example. Mark, 48, works as a fire captain in Denver. He's been through divorce, raised 2 teenage daughters, and recently started seeing Taylor, a 6-year-old grad student. Early on, things were easy, natural. But then Taylor started doing what a lot of younger women do when they get a little scared of emotional intimacy. She pulled back. She became hot and cold, cancelled plans, took longer to reply. Now, Mark had two options. He could have panicked, reacted emotionally, and tried to force clarity, or he could hold his ground. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of blowing up her phone or demanding answers, he stayed calm, present, still interested, but not chasing. And you know what happened? A week later, Taylor texted, "You're different. I expected you to get mad or walk away. But you didn't flinch." That's gravity. It's not passivity. It's presence. It's the ability to hold space for the storm without becoming part of it. It's knowing who you are and not letting someone else's emotional waves pull you under. Storm energy says, "Notice me." Gravity says, "You'll feel me." And here's the Stoic layer. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." When a woman tests your energy by pulling back, challenging you, or getting emotionally erratic, it's not always manipulation. Sometimes it's just her seeing if your energy is stable enough to hold hers. The wrong move? Getting caught up in her storm, mirroring her chaos, trying to fix everything instantly. The right move? Be the calm center she can orbit around. Quiet confidence, gentle certainty, emotional leadership. And this doesn't mean being boring. Gravity has depth. It's just not noisy about it. Gravity doesn't have to raise its voice to be felt. It simply is. And the people around it adjust. In fact, the more you can embody this grounded energy, the more women will trust you. Not because you said the right things, but because your energy makes them feel safe, seen, held. You become the contrast. In a world full of storms, you become the anchor. And here's the magic. When you're the gravity, she starts leaning in, not because you chased, but because she felt pulled toward you. So ask yourself, are you showing up as the storm or the gravity? If you're ready to lead with grounded masculine energy, drop it in the comments. I am the gravity. We're down to the final move, the one that ties everything together and leaves a lasting impression she can't forget. Stick around. You'll want to hear this. Number 10. Age is your advantage. You might not have six-pack abs anymore. Your hairline might have made a quiet exit a few years ago. And maybe you feel like younger guys are out here winning just by showing up. But here's the truth that no one tells you loud enough. Your age isn't a weakness, it's your advantage. Because when you carry your age with awareness, not apology, it becomes power. You've lived through storms, you've made mistakes, you've learned, you've built things, lost things, watched the world shift. That kind of lived experience gives you something money, muscles, or trendiness never will. Depth. Younger women aren't just attracted to looks, they're pulled in by energy, and energy that feels lived in, steady, and deeply masculine is rare. That's why, when you walk into a room with calm, direct presence, you stand out. You don't need to perform, you don't need to try. You are. But here's the trap to avoid. Don't act like a cool older guy trying to play the young man's game. That's when age works against you. That's when she senses insecurity, when you're pretending not to be who you are. Instead, double down on what you do have. You have clarity. Use it. You have self-respect. Show it. You have emotional range. Because life has stretched you. Let that be seen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the energy she craves, not a guy trying to look younger, but a man who already knows who he is and walks like it. And when that energy combines with masculine direction, clean boundaries, and a little mystery, that's magnetic. The truth is, younger women who are emotionally mature don't want a boy, they want a man. Someone who's not shaken by every mood swing. Someone who doesn't compete with them for attention. Someone who knows what he wants, but doesn't need to chase it down. That can be you if you stop thinking your age is something to overcome. Own it. Speak from it. Move with it. Let it shape your posture, your tone, your decisions. Because a man who's made peace with his age becomes ageless. He's not chasing youth. He's exuding leadership. He's not asking to be noticed. He's noticed because his presence carries weight. So let the young guys have their selfies and TikToks. You've got stillness, intention, and history behind your eyes. That's what she remembers. That's what makes her feel safe enough to let go, to soften, to follow. Age isn't what makes you fall behind. It's what helps you lead. So walk into the room like you've already lived a dozen lives and you're not trying to impress anyone, because that's exactly what makes you unforgettable. That's it, brother. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching, you're becoming. You're not chasing attention. You're mastering presence. You're not asking to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. And that's what makes you dangerous in the best way possible. If you found value here, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. This is where we sharpen the edge. This is where modern men meet ancient wisdom. Thanks for watching. Respect your time, protect your energy, and I'll see you tomorrow.